Hello, good morning. Oh. Lately, I have been at a loss of words. Something that's happening within myself at this time and place in this year. I feel once again that I am outgrowing my current situations. And as much as I love growth and I want to grow, I'm kind of upset that I care less about the things I used to care about. And it kind of sounds silly because for a very long time I wanted to not care and not feel so deeply. And now I feel so deeply about not caring. I feel as though I am abandoning my connection and my love for my family. But I know I'm not. I'm in this evolving period, and sometimes that gets kind of confusing because I remember the very first time I separated from my mother energetically, and it was based on religious upbringing, and I evolved into a non-religious. Dropped everything, turned it inside out, fought verbally for my own beliefs because those around me kept trying to shove their beliefs down my throat, which they've done all my life. And just recently I've had a conversation with my grandmother, and I've never had this conversation with my grandmother. My grandmother's religiously rooted down to her every fiber in her belief system. And that's totally fine with me. The part where there's a disconnect is when that person insists that their belief is the one and only, and there's only one way to ascend in this lifetime. And I had a open heart conversation with her. I sat down and I was available to have a conversation with my grandmother with love and compassion, but my heart was racing because I could feel the disconnect. In my entire life I was raised to be a bridge for people and for my family, and I felt in this moment I'm trying to be a bridge as much as I can, but if someone doesn't understand the words that are coming out of your mouth, it's like speaking another language. I can speak in my language. I could even raise my voice in my own language, but that doesn't mean that the other person understands when they don't speak it. And that's hard for me because that's where I'm feeling this disconnect. And I know this is not permanent, but my body doesn't feel that way right now because my body is purging. I have been crying and just feeling and then going numb, and then feeling and then going numb. And I know exactly why I'm doing that dance, and I believe this dance is beautiful. But I'm also, my mind knows, my mind has seen this before. So I have peace in this. I have peace in walking into this purging that my body is doing, though it feels super lonely, and I actually don't feel inspired to make art or create anything with this pain right now, which I think that's part of the process. So I've been on this passionately creating kick for about 4 months, and I can feel I'm hitting a wall right now, and I'm a little upset that I don't want to create something. I don't have the passion to create something but I do have the passion to create something. It's just, it's not able to come through me right now because whoa, I just had a massive deja vu. That was beautiful. I used to be terrified of deja vus, and now I take comfort in them. Oh, that was good. I literally saw a glimpse of me doing this. I've done this before in this exact spot. So once again, confirmation that, like, instead of getting down on myself or forcefully pushing myself to create something when I don't want to, I'm not going to force myself. But I do feel as though, like, I'm processing things, and the ways that I used to, like, use for tools to process. So for me, it would be like writing or vlogging or, you know, distracting myself or cleaning or even resting. I don't want to do any of that. I want to do something. And I think, like, right now, everything's kind of put on pause for a second so I can create more authentically when I turn the camera on. But also, I'm creating in this low. So as much as my brain doesn't think that I'm creating from the heart, I am, just by making this video. Just being an example and showing this is where I'm at, this is what I'm going through, this is what the purging feels like, and the warring between my mind of I'm not doing enough, or I need to create more, or I need to, like, push past this, and at the same time I'm like, you should honor this, take note of this, no pressure, self-love. Like, I am birthing how I as a human can unconditionally love myself and others around me. And when you're learning these things, you get put in positions to practice this. So going back to the conversation I had with my grandmother, I can get really specific, but I don't want to trigger anybody, because the conversation and what we were talking about is not the point. It's the heart-to-heart matter, and it's soul crushing, because my grandmother's concept creates a limited fellowship or connection with me, and I feel as though, like, those cords were being cut, and it wasn't like by my doing, but by me showing up authentically. She was having to cut the cords. I don't know how to explain that. If you know, you know, and I mean, like, emotional cords, the invisible, I know she still loves me deeply. I think she's very good at unconditionally loving on very many. I mean, I honor my grandmother. She is wise, she is beautiful, she is kind, she is caring in so many ways. And not to say that she wasn't in this moment with me, but her mind wasn't able to understand what I'm saying. And in her beliefs, when you don't understand something, they don't really go and search it. They just, like, believe what has been told to them, and they regurgitate the same truths over and over, which I believe that things should always be evolving. Which, what she believes, the crazy thing is, okay, what she believes is based off of a book. And I've read that book, and I believe that book. I believe the things that were said, and she believes the things that were said, but I interpret them differently. She is regurgitating other people's interpretations of that belief. So it's funny, because even if I told her my interpretation, she would just be doing what she's doing, which is not interpreting this book for herself. She would still be interpreting it from other people's perspectives, because this book is definitely not in its purest form. but the message is still there before it was capitalized on. The book is speaking so much truth. They call it the living word. And I remember the very first time, back when I was in this religious belief, I've always heard all my life, like, it's the living word. This book is the living word. It's a living word. It's alive. And I never understood that until probably like 5 or 6 years ago from today's date. And I remember going to my mom and I was like, Mom, this book is the living word. The message in this book, even though it's saying the same words, everyone is interpreting it differently. And that is their truth, because that is their personal journey. But what gets fudgy is when other people interpret their personal journey as for someone else's rule book or someone else's truth. It doesn't matter what religion, it doesn't matter what practice you do. You can share information and leave it to the recipient to hear it the way that they need to hear it. They are not going to hear it the same way that I do, and they cannot apply it the same way that I do. So growing up in this religious belief set, if you didn't believe the same way that they did, or didn't act the same way that they did, meaning the community, the congregation, then you're wrong. And I outgrew that was not true. That does not mean I am wrong. Things are black and white, and they're not black and white. And the only reason why they're not black and white is because someone cannot interpret that to themselves. So for me, my journey is black and white. I know what is for me, and I know what is not for me. I know what feels good within my body. I know what does not feel good. And in that conversation with my grandma, it did not feel good. I started into the conversation already triggered, because I knew what was going to be said to me. It's been said to me for the past 30-some years. I knew. And technically, I was available to listen to her. But the energy of, like, I don't know how to explain that, and I don't think I want to, but let's just say there was a big disconnect. And I'm speaking with love and kindness, and I just feel like everything I was saying was just like tossed into the trash. Even if it was truth, there was no ears to hear it. And in my perspective, I just kind of like stopped conversating. I told my grandmother, like, I don't want to argue or banter or whatever, go back and forth about this. That is your belief. And then my grandmother questioned me, like, did you not believe once? You know, don't you believe? And honestly, I wanted to say yes. And at the same time, I wanted to say no. Because if I say yes, I know what she's hearing. And I wanted to say no, because what she would hear if I said yes is still not my truth. But then, like, something hit me. Nobody's ever really going to know your truth. Only I know it. And people are going to take and apply what I say into their brain, regardless of my intentions. People at this point in my life cannot tell me my intentions. And I don't want to be responsible for thinking that I know the intentions of other people. So this is part of my open heart practice that I've been going through.